Hello everybody! It has been quite a while since I made my last video, but now I'm back with a Titanfall Beta. First things first, the footage you're going to see is from the Titanfall Beta client. That means that the game is not finished yet. Content is missing, unlocks are missing, you don't have all Titans available, the level cap is 14, and also there may be bugs in the game. It's more a demo than a beta, but it is still beta, not the finished product, so please keep this in mind. Let's start with the customization options of Titanfall. So I won't go through everything because probably you have seen it and maybe some stuff will change or whatsoever. If you want to skip to the gameplay directly, I will add a button at the top corner. So what customization options do you have in Titanfall? Obviously you can change your weapons for your soldier and for your Titan. And this is pretty basic stuff if you look at the weapons. But in my opinion they did a very good job in implementing the weapon or designing the weapon in a way that they have advantages and disadvantages. Which is probably a way that all shooters try to design their weapons. But they did a very good job here and it really worked well for Titanfall. For example, there's one strange weapon called the Smart Pistol, and you can use it as a normal pistol, but it has the ability to lock onto a target, and if it is locked you just press the fire button and it instantly dies if the path of the bullet isn't blocked by anything. So you see, you don't have to aim, and this sounds pretty strong and OP, and probably some of you will say this is no skill OP, please nerf whatsoever. But this is not the case. I died a lot to this weapon at the beginning and I thought, whoa, this is really strong. But when I tried the weapon myself and get more experience with playing the game, I found out that the weapon isn't that strong as I thought it would be. So if you lock onto a human player, it takes you like, let's say 5 seconds to lock him in, and this is quite a lot of time. If you are in a close combat situation with another player and he's jumping around, making wall runs and double jumps and whatsoever, you have a problem locking him in. And if he has a shotgun, he will just flat out kill you and have no chance against it. So the weapon isn't designed for every situation. You have to set up your situation to use this weapon efficiently. If you, for example, run into several enemies and try to confront them and to gun them down, it won't work. They will just kill you. So you have to be a little bit more sneaky and sneak around, try to avoid to be seen, and probably, for example, on a rooftop you jump down into the street and locking mid-air onto another player, so you have the extra time to lock him in. You probably will take some hits, but then you are able to kill him. But you know what I mean, you have to set up your situation. You can't just use this weapon in every situation, it will be totally OP and just click 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 and everything is dying. That is not how this weapon works. And in close combat there are much better weapons. This weapon is more like sniping and sneaking around. Also there's a sniper rifle. I haven't tried it out yet because I don't like sniper rifle that much, but I have to say every weapon works in this way, that they have advantages and disadvantages in specific situation, and they have to fit your playstyle, which I really like. But like I said, this is nothing new. I think every shooter tries to design their weapons this way. The next point I want to talk about is other abilities in the game. You can equip 1 active ability and 2 passive abilities. It is very interesting how the abilities in Titanfall are designed. There's a lot of counterplay going on with them. For example, the Titan has an ability called Vortex Shield. You have probably seen it in a trailer before. The Titan generates a shield at his arm, and every projectile that hits the shield will be freezed inside the shield, and so the shield just collecting rockets and bullets, and then you can shoot them back with the shield when you release it and deal significant damage with it. So it works very well against other Titans that are shooting at you. But when they decide to go into melee range and punch you, the shield won't block the melee attacks. At least as far as I know. Another option would be just stop shooting at you while you're using your shield. So you can't deflect any bullets. But the biggest downside of the shield is that it is absolutely useless if another player jumps on your Titan and starts ripping out parts and shooting at the hydraulic systems of your Titan. This deals a massive amount of damage to your Titan, but with a shield you can do nothing against it. But if you equip the other ability, Electric Smoke, which is pretty much a big smoke screen that deals damage to soldiers surrounding your Titan, then you have an option. If the opponent soldier on top of your Titan don't want to get killed by the smoke, then he has to leave it. Then you can dash back and bring yourself in a better position, probably kill him. But if you are fighting another Titan, then the smoke screen is probably good for an escape. But if you are confronting a Titan very close and directly and you are shooting at each other, then the smoke won't help that much, because if your enemy is just shooting into the smoke screen and getting hit indicators, you get the same amount of damage. So it's not helping here. But you see the difference and the counterplay that is going on here. And this also leads into strategical thoughts. For example, if you plan to use a burn cut, I will explain them later in the video. Then you have the option to spawn a Titan right at the beginning of the match, and probably no other player in the game will have their Titan yet. So you are the only one, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to deflect bullets from I don't know, soldiers, because they're not dealing that much damage to you. But you are far more vulnerable to players jumping on your Titan and dealing a significant amount of damage. So if you plan to do this, it makes much more sense to use the smoke screen. And this is something I really like about this game. It is not like there's just one weapon and ability combination and all others are bad and just use this one and you will be fine. At least it seems in the beta that they designed the game in a way that it depends on what you want to do in the game, what you are planning, so there's a deeper strategy to it. I don't know how well they will execute it when the game will be released, but right now in the beta, in my opinion, it already works pretty well. So I'm very excited for it, and in my opinion, this is something the FPS genre pretty much needs right now. By the way, this also applies to the soldier or pilot abilities. There are two available in the beta. One is Cloak and the other one is Stim. So Cloak just makes you transparent. So another player playing as a pilot will still see you without a problem. In most cases. But you probably get a little advantage in terms of reaction time. And since my aiming is off in this game, it's very bad. I need this little advantage, so that's the reason why I like using Cloak a lot. Also, AI opponents, so AI soldiers, won't see you when you are cloaked. And other players in Titans will also have a very hard time seeing a cloaked player. So it is very good to move over the map unseen and probably sneak up onto a Titan and jumping on him and ripping out his hydraulics and dealing significant amount of damage to him, which is really strong right now. I'm really surprised that it's so easy taking out a Titan with just a player that is not in a Titan. The other ability, Stim, gives you a better health regeneration and increases your movement speed, so you're a little bit faster and a little bit tougher to kill, which I like, especially at the beginning of the map. I think it's a huge advantage to be faster at a specific point where you want to be and set up the situation. So it is nice, but I think most players in the game use Cloak because it gives you probably a little bit more advantages, or it's a good escape. It's also a good engage since you get a little advantage in terms of reaction time and you can better sneak around, you can avoid Titans and stuff like this. So I think Cloak is used more often than Stim, but I can totally see experimenting more with Stim and trying this ability out. I haven't tried it that much, I have to admit. So both abilities have their advantages and disadvantages. One ability is better when you want to set up situations and sneak around, and the other ability is better when you're confronting other players directly in combat and, for example, inside a building and want to move very fast over the map. And this concept of advantages and disadvantages and of options and strategy goes through the whole game, and also you can find it in the passive abilities. For example, there's one passive ability for your Titan called nuclear ejection. So if your Titan is nearly destroyed and you eject out of it, it will explode in a big nuclear explosion and deal a massive amount of damage to everything that's too close to it. The other ability would be an ability that regenerates your shields faster. So you have to decide, what do you want? Do you want in the combat pretty much just let your Titan be destroyed and deal as much damage as possible, or do you want to have more sustain in fight and be a little bit tougher to kill? These are the decisions you have to make, and like I said, it goes through nearly every aspect of the game and is very well executed. The next customization point, and it's the last one, are burn cards. Stay alive. A burn card lasts until you die or the match ends. This is pretty much the basic concept of the burn cards. So you have 3 card slots and you get them for playing matches. And prior to a match you have to equip them into those card slots. The cards themselves are little advantages you get in the game. And they work pretty much like, if you are dead you can select a card, and when you respawn you get the effect. But it only lasts as long as you are alive, so when you die again, the card and the effect are gone. There are probably some exceptions, for example if you spawn a Titan. If you die, the Titan will still be there. Also you can use some cards, like the Titan spawn card, when you are alive and you don't have to be dead for it. Most cards you will get are probably changes to your weapons, so you get a better version of one of the existing primary weapons, or of the sidearms, or even of the anti-Titan weapons. But there are also other abilities available, like a radar pulse that shows you enemies around you, or increased movement speed. So there's a very wide variety in terms of those burn cards, and a lot of strategy going on, because you have probably to resync your loadout if you plan to use a specific burn card. And this is the thing I really like about those cards. Let's have a look at the Titanfall game modes. First we have attrition, which is a team deathmatch mode. You have to kill AI and human opponents, get points for it, and the team with the most points wins. Hardpoint is your battlefield-like conquest mode. So you have to capture points, but an interesting shift is going on here, because Titans are not that important. They can only capture 1 point. So if everyone plays a Titan, you won't win the match, and you have to shift between being a Titan and being a soldier. Last Titan Standing is a team-based mode where every player starts with a Titan. It is round-based and you don't respawn. The team that destroys all enemy Titans wins the round and you play several rounds. In addition, it is pretty sure right now that there will be more game modes than just 3. Also, in the beta there are just 2 maps. In the final version it should be around 15, but I think this number is not confirmed yet. But let's have a deeper look at the game modes we have right now. First of all we have attrition, which seems to be the primary mode for the beta. But I have one problem with this mode. It has no goals. Of course, on a highly competitive level with pre-made teams, it's another story. It's a lot more tactical and strategic. But if you're just playing for yourself, you're just running around and killing enemies. This is probably just personal taste, but I like it to have goals on the map. For example, the hardpoint mode, which I like most right now, has these goals on this map. I have a flag, I can go there, I can capture it, I can defend it. I have a reason to go somewhere on the map and doing stuff there. On attrition I'm just walking around and looking for enemies I can kill. But don't get me wrong, shooting in Titanfall is a lot of fun. But in hardpoint I can have both, my goals on the map and shooting enemies. In addition, the element that you lose cooldown on your Titan when you are killing enemies, and that you can escape the map with a dropship when you lost the round, you have in hardpoint too. And this is the reason why hardpoint is my favorite mode right now. As I mentioned earlier, there's an interesting shift going on, because you can only capture 1 point with a Titan. For the other 2 points you have to be a soldier. And this leads into this fine balance where when you don't have a Titan or lose your Titan, you're not doomed to be useless on the map. There's always something to do for you. But this is also the case in attrition. I said earlier that there are no goals in this game mode. But there's one, getting your Titan very fast, because there is the illusion of the Titan being the ultimate super weapon, and once you get it, you can destroy everything. which is probably not true, since there's so many ways to destroy a Titan. So this is probably more a personal taste than an objective criticism. One player likes the attrition mode more, the other one will like the hardpoint mode more. It depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for an experience that is more focused on playing in Titans and having huge Titan battles, then attrition is probably the right choice. If you're looking for a more balanced experience between being a soldier and a Titan with a little advantage for the soldier, then hardpoint is probably the way to go. And who says that you can play both modes? The third mode available in the beta is Last Titan Standing. You can imagine this mode as Counter-Strike with Titans. You are very careful with your Titan because if it is destroyed, you don't get another one this round. If you die, you have to wait for the next round to respawn. So it's pretty much like Counter-Strike. Still, if your Titan dies and you survive, you can do stuff as a soldier, but your team is one Titan down, and this is a very big disadvantage. Like in Counter-Strike, you are also playing very differently. You are very careful, you are trying to sneak and to hide to some degree and looking for cover. Also you're trying to set up traps for the enemy team, and there's a lot of tactic going on there, and if you have 5 friends you can play it with, I think it's a lot of fun. But just playing for your own, I think the other 2 modes are probably more fun than this one. But this is just my personal opinion here. Finally, let's speculate a little bit about stuff data miners have found and what other game modes and map elements could be in the game. I assume that they selected the modes available in the beta for a very good overview for the player, so we can see how the mechanics work and what you can do with Titanfall. But I think they still have ideas for game modes and maps they haven't showed us yet. For example, there are some rumors about an online campaign mode, which could be very interesting for some players. Also, the IGN guys made a video about the art book of Titanfall, which is a very big art book called The Art of Titanfall, and in it there's a lot of artwork of weapons and Titans and also maps. In addition, you find also some texts in this book explaining the lore and the background, and there's some interesting information in there. For example, on some maps it seems like that there are creatures. So this is an art book and pure speculation, nothing of it is confirmed. It could be an idea that haven't made it into the final game, so keep this in mind. But it's an interesting thought that it could probably just decoration or a gameplay element, so you have kind of a third neutral faction on some maps that cause some trouble. Also, they talk about a device on the map that holds back a specific type of creatures, and this is also just speculation, but it's a gameplay element and you can destroy this device on the map, and then you have some Battlefield 4 like levolution elements going on. So the creatures now enter the map when the device is destroyed and causing trouble, destroying Titans whatsoever, which is a very interesting idea in my opinion. This will be the final section of this video, and it will be about the most interesting mechanic in Titanfall, the movement. One interesting point of critique is that Titanfall has no destructible environment, so you can destroy houses and walls, like let's say in Battlefield Bad Company 2, which was a really awesome game. But what is the idea, the intention behind destructible environment? In my opinion, it is to eliminate or reduce limitations of the game, so the player has more freedom and more opportunities to do stuff in the world. For example, somebody was camping inside a house. It was really hard to get him out there. I could just throw in grenades, but he probably kills me before I throw them, or he just dodges the grenades and is still in the house. If the house only has one entrance and he placed like claymores there, I couldn't just run into the house and I just would die. So my options were very limited. In Bad Company 2, I just could destroy the house or just make me an entrance that wasn't there before and surprise him from behind. I had more options, I had reduced limitations in the game, which was really awesome back then. If you think about it, Titanfall does the exact same thing. They are reducing limitations, only with a totally different approach, with a movement system. In Bad Company 2 you had to destroy a wall to have a new option. In Titanfall, every window, every hole in the wall, every door is an option for you, and there are a lot of windows and doors and holes in walls in Titanfall. So you don't have to destroy the wall, but the result or the intention to reduce limitations is the same. Of course, it's still a valid criticism, and it would be nice to have destructible environment just for the atmosphere and for the impact of the weapons and Titans, but from a gameplay perspective it is not necessary, and I can totally understand this design decision by the developers. So what is my final conclusion on the Titanfall beta? There were accusations that the developers bribed the press for good critiques. But in my opinion that is not the case, because the game is just good in every corner. There is nearly nothing you can criticize. It is that good. The only problem I could see is the content I haven't seen yet. So the maps available right now, which are really good, well designed and spot on and highly enjoyable, are the best maps, and the other maps aren't just that good. That would be a big problem for the game. Another problem I could see is that there are rumors about 15 maps, which is quite a lot if you think about it. If there are like 5 or 6 game modes in the final version of the game, then this is quite a lot of content. So we all know EA. What if they say on your release version there are only 8 maps available and the other 7 maps are day 1 DLC map hack BS? That would be just the worst. I hate it when they do it, especially when the maps are already on my physical copy available and I only have to unlock them and pay extra for it. EA is very good in doing stuff like this, especially when I think of Battlefield. And when they combine it with premium, it is just the worst. It's just ridiculous what they did there. And it would make me really sad if they're going this path. And splitting the community, which is never a good idea, especially when the game is new. Another concern is balance. In the beta we have a very limited selection of abilities, titans and weapons. In the final version there will be a lot more stuff, which is probably a lot harder to balance when it's all together in a game. So this could ruin the experience in the first few days or weeks when stuff is figured out and is totally OP and players start abusing it, and it ruins your game experience. Speaking of first day, EA has quite a history of bad release days, especially when it comes to server problems and bugs. For example, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, SimCity or whatsoever. There were a lot of problems going on in the past, and I hope that this won't hit Titanfall and that we just can play the game when it is released without much problems. So I guess these are my main concerns. So I will end the video here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please press a like button. If you have a comment, please write it down in the comment section. And if you want to get informed about new videos and stuff that's going on, follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching and